Thanks for tuning into the podcast. I am talking today about one question we can ask ourselves to reduce resentment in marriage. I am not a marriage therapist. I am not a therapist. This is all coming from staying in my lane as a business coach who has helped countless women who come to me suffering in their marriages and businesses. And a lot of times they go hand in hand, right? And today I want to talk about a way we can actually shift this. This does not mean we are excusing bad behavior. This does not mean that if you are in a toxic, abusive situation that you should continue. Pretty please know yourself and your situation and get professional help accordingly. Okay, disclaimer's over. I am someone who has also lived this myself. I wanted to stay married. I've been married 20 years. I've had my companies 12 years. I have worked with my husband since 2002. Whoa, right? We were coworkers before we were married. And let me tell you, it is some of the hardest tests you can have in a world of marriage is to work together, and then entrepreneurship brings in a whole nother thing. So that's my background. I have come through some really hard stuff with my husband. We've been through hard stuff, and our marriage is better than ever because of the question I'm going to introduce to you today. It may not be revolutionary, but if you are suffering right now, if you feel like you are unsupported and feeling alone and in pain, maybe this is something that can help. And that's what I'm here to do. The mission of the Juicy Good Life is to reduce suffering and amplify joy. And we believe here, I believe that through this work, we heal the world one businesswoman at a time. Whether you are married or not, this is going to be a question for literally any relationship that you want to feel better in. Why? Because it is an inside job. Okay, here we go. So when I think about the before and afters of some of the marriage stories I've been able to see unfold as my clients have come and worked with me for years, it is like sometimes they're ready for divorce. Sometimes they are in pain all the time, crying all the time, getting projected on all the time. I help a lot of human design projectors, by the way. They feel alone. They feel misunderstood. They feel like their business is never enough, therefore they're never enough, or they're fighting all the time, whether it's money or, choices, whatever. So there's like this painful situation. And here is what I have come to discover is just helpful to shift it. And I wrote about this in my book, Worth the Squirm. The more our needs are met as the business owner, as the spouse, as the human, the more room we have to handle. Doesn't mean we're excusing bad behavior, remember. We are not saying you should handle abuse. But when we are in suffering mode, the more our needs are met, the more ability we have to look at life and to move through the challenges with more ease, more compassion for all involved, especially ourselves, and more insight and wisdom versus being triggered into pain all the time and instantly. There is nothing I have found in my life that will make me feel more unsafe and awful than fighting with my husband. It's like the rug gets pulled out from you, right? And it doesn't feel that way anymore because we've created new levels of safety. And I'm going to give you all I can in the first step kind of scope. And if you guys want more of this, please let me know. But what happens is their fear no longer becomes our fear. So if they're in scarcity about money, if they're in scarcity, our fear about what if it doesn't work, we no longer take their fear on as well. We can see it for what it is, and we can wrap our arms around this relationship in a new way. And we don't have to resent each other. Ooh, that one's going to make me cry because that is so real, right? And a brilliant concept I heard years ago, I wish I knew who to attribute it to, but it was like, there's a whole bunch of premeditated resentment when we are not getting our own needs met. It is a recipe for disaster, friends. So that is the big question. What needs do I need to get met right now? When you are triggered or when you are starting to go to really like focus on what they're doing and not what you're doing, when you're starting to like feel that bitterness and resentment and frustration creeping in, what do I need to feel safe right now? What need do I have that isn't being met? Those are the questions. The before picture, I painted of the women who have come to me. They would be really, really focused, and it would take a lot of their energy that they wanted to be pouring into their business. They would be spending a lot of energy on what was happening with their spouse, right? Where he wasn't meeting their needs. And here is what I know to be true. We can want that, but if we're all coming to these relationships as wounded humans, which I believe we all are in some way or shape or another, I also know that at least my spouse was sent here for me to help me heal my stuff, because they will kick up everything. Just like our businesses kick up everything, our marriages kick up everything, our children kick up everything, our friendships kick up everything that wants to be loved on more. Okay, so I didn't feel safe in a lot of ways. And now I actually do. Does it mean it's perfect? No, not at all. But once I started getting my needs met, and this has been a multiple year journey, I started getting new courage to speak up, to set boundaries, to say no thank you, to say here's what I would need in order to be a yes for whatever it is we're doing. Naming our feelings, man, it's like transformational, but it started with me finding out what needs I had, which was revolutionary to this overgiving people pleaser who came from a household where her needs were not really gonna matter, right? That's a whole nother story. You can get the book and read about it, right? My needs were not something that I even was in touch with. So how was I going to come into a marriage and get them met? Oh, we automatically think that they're going to fill the gaps. Wrong, right? It's a bonus if they do. It's a bonus. Just like we are not going to meet every need they have. It's an inside job, and then anything above and beyond it is actually lovely. But my husband cannot heal my wounds for me. He can sure give me a mirror to everything that I need to look at, and I can be a mirror for everything he needs to look at, right? And together we're going to bump our noses a lot, but I'm happy to say there is another ending here if you want to stay married. Again, I say that with concern that someone who is in a unhealthy relationship is going to take that to mean this will fix the unhealthy. Please, no. This is about when we are business owners, and if your marriage takes a disproportionate amount of your energy every day, this will help you shift it. Okay, so we're going to zoom way out. The next time you are starting to look over there, and I know you can't see me, but if you're starting to look over at what he's not doing, and you really want to be pouring into your business, and your brain and your energy is taking you over to like, well, what is happening with him? I want you to stop and say, wait, pause, time out. What do I need to feel safe right now? And my love, it has to be an inside job. It can't be, I need him to be different. I love some of the old Abraham Hicks stuff. And she would say, if only you were different, you'd be perfect. And so if you couldn't change a dang thing, what would you need to feel safe inside of you? Because we cannot control anyone else. So it might be, oh, I need a cup of coffee with my best friend. I need to voice memo my coach. My clients do that all the time. It's so healing, so helpful to be witnessed in your frustration, right? It might be that you need to write a letter you'll never send and burn it. Like, get out your frustrations and then safely burn it. It might be I need to go on a walk and remind myself what I'm here to do today. It might be that you want to give it to God, your divine support team. And then just listen to whatever it is you need to feel safe. It might be a nap. It might need to be ask for a hug from someone who's happy to give it to you. Because we get really good when, especially if our business is feeling hard, we get really good at getting distracted about fixing other things, or getting really good at like, oh, I want to fix this other thing that's not perfect in my life. And when we are actually in our business wholeheartedly, man, that can change a lot for the whole scheme of your life. So it all comes down to what we need to feel safe. So we might be distracted because this thing over here in our business feels hard, so we're going to focus on what our spouse did or our partner. Maybe it's self-protecting. Again, only you know. But when we start filling up our bucket, our cup, and this sounds cheesy, like I'm asking you to go get a pedicure. That might be your answer, but really, the women I help have way deeper reasons they don't feel safe, right? We married or partnered with someone who is possibly going to be one of our biggest teachers. So you can say, all right, what's this kicking up for me? What do I need to feel safe right now? And I'm a big proponent of grounding, of nervous system regulation, of taking a dang nap or a walk until you feel better, naming it. I am a student of Brene Brown's, and one of the best tools ever for ourselves and the people we do life with is, what story am I making up? It doesn't mean you're fabricating anything. Your brain has a sentence it's talking to you all day, right? What story am I making up about X, Y, or Z? And that will be wildly helpful. And so maybe you just need awareness to feel safe. Maybe you just need evidence that you actually are safe. So what story are you making up? And that goes for them too. If you can help your partner use that language, it will be a game changer. But I just wanted to really kick off this concept for you today, this one question, because the rest of it will be an unfolding of you doing your healing work. It somehow, truly, magically, for a lot of people, ends up creating softness in which our partners can also meet us there in new ways, more and more. And so the success stories I want you to hear is those same women I talked to you about, where ready for divorce, crying all the time, getting projected on, being told she should probably just go get a day job, feeling really alone, feeling misunderstood, feeling like she had to prove her business model to her husband all the time, or fighting. That was what I was experiencing all the time. Me adopting his fears and thinking I had to fix them for him. The good news is, all of those women, myself included, these clients who have shown up to get their own needs met, to create their own safety, they are seeing massive, incredible miracles in their marriages too. Now, can we guarantee this for you? No. Are you willing to give it a whirl? Because guess what? It doesn't have to be about your marriage. When you project on your business the fears that you have, this same concept applies. If you are a mother or a nurturer of someone, we all have these innate needs to get our own needs met, to have our own safety. And we end up walking around looking for people thinking they can meet our needs, and they just never can. They can't. They can add to our life, but the rest of it's an inside job. So the success story is the woman who felt like she was always being told to get a day job. He now sees the success of her business. She's having record revenue years, and she no longer adopts his fear as her own. She no longer makes that true about herself. She's creating so much more in her business, and they're having a much better time, right? She's seeing shifts. The woman who was ready for divorce, he is stepping up in new ways, right? The woman who felt like she had to prove her business model no longer feels that to be true. She knows he is not her ideal client. And she can love them both through it because she has enough room. And that's it, friends. Like, when we are safe and when our needs are getting met, we have capacity to meet other people with more compassion too. When we can offer ourselves compassion, it turns out we make them less of a problem in our life. Now, if they are a problem, back to first disclaimer, right? They don't trigger us anymore to the point of us feeling like we're not going to be okay. We can move through things faster than we ever would have before. None of this means it all becomes literally unicorns and rainbows, but it gets a lot better. My husband and I high-fived this weekend because we moved through something with kindness, like clear's kind, boundaries, and true compassion for one another. We moved through it in about 8 or 9 minutes. That before would have blown up the whole holiday weekend. For sure. And now we're like, oh, wow, okay. I was boundaried. I was clear. He was defensive first and then said, I can see your point. I hear you. Right? And I said the story I make up about this is, right? And we used our tools and we moved through it faster. And 10 minutes later, we were laughing. And that could have gone really sideways in the past. It would have. It would have derailed days, if not weeks. So doesn't mean the triggers go away. But I see myself and others who are doing this work with themselves truly being able to move through these things well tended to, boundaried, loving, and kind. It's truly how we continue to build a juicy good life. And I hope there was something in there for you today. So just to summarize, when you are feeling like you are not okay in relationship, in business, in anything, if the inner critic is so loud you just can't even handle it, we stop and we say, what do I need to feel safe right now? What do I need to feel safe? And once safety is established, there's probably another need we can go for. So just one step at a time. Grounding. Make these practices non-negotiable. You can message me at The Juicy Good Life, any of the socials. I have a morning magic practice that talks about different grounding, different ways to fill yourself up, to continue to meet those needs, to feel safe inside yourself first thing, right? I'm happy to send that to you. But if nothing else, I hope you walk away with at least some new awareness that getting our needs met doesn't mean we fix the world. It doesn't mean that person magically becomes someone they're not, but it makes space. It softens the heart space. It creates new awareness from which we can actually move with wisdom and clarity, because when we are triggered and afraid and feeling alone and feeling unsupported, that's when we are like flailing about making just decisions that don't feel good, right? Grasping instead of like stepping in with empowered clarity. All right. I'm happy to tell you that the shift is possible. I could cry just thinking about it. I was in so much pain in my marriage, and I know my husband was too. But the more and more I do this work, the better and better the soil for the marriage that we want to grow for the next 20 years and beyond. And I didn't have to self-abandon for any of it. Pretty please know that. We don't actually have to abandon ourselves in order to have the kind of life, relationships, and businesses we want. All right, I will see you next time. Thanks for coming, and have a beautiful day. We get this one life. Let's make it juicy good.